This video, I feel like will help a lot of people. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. I'm going to reveal my velocity banking, my cash flow strategy, and it is a combination of velocity banking and what's known as credit line banking. And this is a calendar in which I use several credit cards and one bank account and a HELOC to accomplish a continuous cash flow strategy. So go ahead and pull out your pen and paper, take some notes. And at the very end, I want you to stick around because I have a special offer for people who would like to implement some of these strategies. So this strategy is typically what I would do on a month-to-month basis. And I wholeheartedly believe this is what will take you from struggling and confused to thriving and confident. And I'm going to break down a little bit about what that means. Thriving, simply by definition, it implies that you're doing well, you're succeeding, you're moving forward. While confidence suggests clarity, assurance, and decisiveness in actions or your thoughts, the reason why that's important is because for a lot of people who are implementing some of these velocity banking strategies, they're trying to figure out how to manage and what to do, how to direct and guide some of their decisions. And really, what slows them down is they're stuck. They don't know if this is the right move. And the longer it takes for you to come to that decision, the longer it's going to take for you to get those results. So, what you'll find out is the faster you move, the quicker you see things happen. And that really, it should make sense to you. The faster you move, the quicker you'll see the results. And one of the reasons why you don't move as fast or a little bit hesitant is because there's some disorganization with your system. And when I got this down over the course of 6 years, it took me to come up with this, then I realized that things started moving a lot more faster at an accelerated pace. And, today is a very unique time. It's not unlike any other particular time in our history, but today especially with the information that's so widely shared and how fast it moves. It's sad to see how inflation and how the most recent recession, how it affects low income families and just people in general, but really people who have low income. But what I realize is that as a cost of living rises, many people struggle to afford even the most basic needs, let alone saving and investing for the future. It was reported that over 68% of the people have nothing saved for retirement. Think about that. Out of every two people you meet, one of those two people have nothing saved. Can you believe that? That's the situation that we're dealing with. And it's really a reminder of how important it is to create some financial opportunities and to really understand how to educate yourself financially, especially today with the advancement of technologies and how fast things are moving. So, one of the things that I strongly recommend that people do is to get educated. And I give a lot of love to CJ Wallace of the Velocity channel, who is the person who introduced this concept to me. And he introduced this concept to me over 6, 7 years ago when I first started being introduced and started using some of these concepts for myself. This is a video that I saw for the very first time, and from there, I've watched all of his videos. I took all of his courses. I bought all of his products and all of his services. So I wholeheartedly believe in what he has to offer and what he has to say. There are a lot of people who talk about velocity banking, a lot of people who discuss some of these subjects. I like CJ. I like what he says. I like how he explains it. That's just me. Not saying that he's the best overall, but to me he is. And from him, I've learned, and I've taken other people's courses as well. I've seen other people speak on the topic, but this is the video that started it all. So here are the tools that I use to accomplish what I'm here to demonstrate today. I use one HELOC. I use a credit card. Actually, I use 4 credit cards. And actually, I have several credit cards, but I primarily focus on these 4 credit cards, and I have a bank account which is what I consider a lending pool or what some people consider like a wash account if you're a merchant or if you're like a business owner. So these are the three things I use. You don't actually need a HELOC to do this, to accomplish what I'm getting ready to show you. You don't need credit cards. You don't need a bank account. I mean, you can accomplish these things without all of these tools. This is just what I use. And if you watch some of CJ's videos and watch some of the other people who talk about velocity banking that are out there, you'll see, yeah, having these tools actually makes it much more simpler and easier, but you don't necessarily need it. All you need to do is really understand the principles. You really need to understand the concepts. And there's even an automated velocity banking tool called the Money Max. I own that as well. I'm not here to promote um, or to be like I'm not an endorser of that product at all. I do use it, and I will say that it does help. Like I said, it's just a tool, and if you're a good craftsman, then the tool will be it'll enhance your results. But is it necessary? No, the answer is no. You don't actually need it. I didn't have any of those things when I got started. I actually, along the way, gradually improved and got better and more refined, and I used more and more tools, and which brings me to sort of give you this breakdown of how I break down my schedule on a month-to-month basis, and how you can too. So here are some basic dates that we need to understand. On the left, you have 4 credit cards. These are 4 credit cards that I use. There's a Venture One card from Capital One. They also have a Venture card. I believe they also have a Venture X card. This is the Venture One card. Guys, the card doesn't matter. It's the hard again. The tools don't matter. It's just the concepts that are important. If you understand the concepts, then the tools they're interchangeable. But this is what I use, and this is what real life examples. I have a Discover card, a IT card. I have the Gold American Express Business, and I also have the Platinum American Express Business. So these are the 4 primary cards that I use. And I'm going to show you how I use these on a monthly basis and how I rotate these. So the important things to know, there's 3 dates that are important. There's the due date, the statement close date, and then there's a statement open date. The due date is usually when you make the payment or make the minimum payment. The statement close date is what? That's whatever balance is remaining on the card. That's what gets reported to the credit bureaus. And then the statement open date is when your new cycle starts, or we can start to use the card again if you're compliant to the velocity banking strategies here. So for the venture card, it's the 10th. And this is going to be important to know in this upcoming slides. The due date for the Discover card is the 15th. The due date for the American Express is the 21st. And then the due date for the Business Platinum Gold is the 10th. So right off the bat, let's know some things right off the top. The Venture card and the American Express Platinum card, the same exact dates, same exact cycles. However, one's a business card and one's a personal card. Is that correct? All right, so good. So keep in mind, and I'm going to break these things down as we go forward as well. Another thing to note right off the top, what else do you notice? If you notice that the due dates are staggering, right? They're not the same. There's some overlap. And that's important to note as well. So when you're setting up your velocity banking schedule, now you can change the due dates on some of these cards. I know, for example, the Discover card, you can change the date. I'm not sure about the Capital One or the American Express. Not sure about that. It just references when you applied for the card. So I would have to get back to you. Leave a comment down below if you know that you can actually change the due date for the American Express or for the Capital One card. I'm not. I actually never tried. But I know I changed the date for the Discover card. All right. What's missing from here is the HELOC due dates and the HELOC statement cycles, the reporting dates or the statement close date, aka reporting date, and then the statement open date. I will talk about those when we get later in the presentation. But just keep these in mind, and I will reference this back, so don't feel like you need to remember this, all right? So let's look at it. If we're looking at a timeline, at the very top of the screen here, you'll see There's from 1 to 31. So those are going to be reference of the days of the month. So let's see how our monthly cycle works. So the at the very top is the venture card. You can see from the 1st to the 10th, this is when the card is able to be used. From the 11th to the 15th is red, and that indicates what? If you guess that that's when the card is not being used, then you'd be correct. And then on the 16th is when the statement reopens. So that's for the venture card. So that means if it's through the 16th through the 31st, which is the middle of the month to the end of the month, and from the 1st to the 10th, the card can be used. I can swipe the card and use it no problem. But the card is due on the 10th, and then on the 11th, it's still open. You can still use it, but I don't want to use it because this is our reporting cycle. This is when the statement will close and whatever's on the card will be reported to the bureaus. This is where you want to get your balance down to 0. You want to get it down on a due date, but worst case scenario, you want to get your card at the lowest balance possible during this time period, or by the latest the 15th. That's with respect to the venture card. So let's look at the Discover card. Same thing. I can use the card from the 1st to the 15th. I stop using the card after the 15th. And for the 16th to the 20th, this is our reporting period. On the 20th, whatever balance is left on the card, that's reported to the bureaus. And then on the 21st again, if the statement opens, that's when I start using the card. I'm going to tell you exactly how I do this and what I use it for. And this is all hopefully going to make a lot of sense to you. All right. I'm going to move up my screen here, my picture. Now let's go down to the American Express Gold. Again, this is a business card here. And I will note that this is my primary card. This is the card that I probably use the most. I want to say about maybe 85% of the time. This is the card that I use maybe 90, maybe even 95. I don't know. It's not exclusive, but this is the card I use the most. And it's because I use it from the 1st to the 21st. Doing the 21st, from the 22nd to 26th is the reporting period. And then on the 26th, the statement date closes. And then this should be 27th, but it says 16th, so that's a typo here. So on the 27th, it opens up again. And then from to the end of the month, and then right back again, it goes. I'm using the card all throughout the month. All right, you guys see that? On the last card, it's just like the venture card, but this is a business card. The reason why I have this set up exactly like I do with the venture card is because I'm going to share this in a second. When I'm not using, this is a business card too, by the way. When I'm not using the business card for the gold, I'm using the platinum card. So for this period of 6 days, maybe 7 days, depending on the month, this is the card. I'm using the platinum card. I'm using the gold card about 95% of the time. And then for this period of this of the reporting period, you can see through the 22nd through the 26th, I'm using the platinum card. So if you notice, there's never a period where the red overlaps, meaning there's always a card that I could use. There's never a time where I cannot use a specific card. I can always use some card, whether it's just for one charge or maybe 2 charges or maybe just for 1 day or 2 days. But I can always use either the Discover card or the American Express Gold card. All right. So understanding what cards you have, understanding their due dates, the statement close dates, and the statement open dates. If you set up your cards to look like this, then this will give you a better visualization of how you can use your cards when it comes to implementing velocity banking. So what does that look like on an actual calendar? Well, let's see. I'm going to move my picture down. Actually, I'll move it up a little bit. How about that? Up in the corner here. So the date represents the cards represent, the blue represents the venture, the light blue represents the Discover, the gold represents the American Express Gold, and then the silver or the gray represents the platinum. So let's see. Right off the bat, the first thing I want you to notice is that The dates are respective to the left side of the number. Okay, so the first is over here, the second is over here in this area here, the third is over here in this area here. So let's look at the 10th. The 10th is when the Venture card and the American Express Platinum cards are due. So that means on the 10th, when they're due, on the 11th, you can see there's no blue and there's no gray. That means that those cards aren't being used. So if you go back to the 16th or fast forward to the 16th, when the blue returns and then the gray returns, I can start using the silver cards again. You guys got that? So let's say if this was, let's say if it was October 13th, what cards could you use? You can use which one? The Discover card and the Gold card. All right, let's go to the 18th. What card can you use? You can use the Venture card, you can use the Gold card, and use the Platinum card, right? You can't use the Discover card, right? You can't use the Discover card until when? Let's fast forward until the 22nd. You guys got that? Easy enough? Easy enough, right? So all throughout the month, these cards are able to be used wherever the colors are highlighted. If you correspond to a date and you don't see that color there, that means you cannot use the card during that time. That means either the card is in the reporting period. All right. So let's look at the 28th. The 28th, you can use what? All four cards are available to use. Right? Venture, Discover, Gold, Platinum. Right? You guys got that? Now, when you're talking about when your bills are due, your rent, your mortgage, your phone, your car, your water, your heat, your garbage, internet, your subscriptions, daycare, when you go to groceries, all those days are going to come into play when you, or depending on when that bill or when you go to pay it, what day it is, what card is available to use. All those factors are going to play. When you have it organized like this, it makes it much more easier to make the decisions to move quicker without thinking and spending too much time contemplating, trying to decide. You know the answer, and after a while, you'll be able to internalize this. You'll know exactly what to do. And this makes it easier too when it comes to building your credit score, building your credit profile, and they'll see, and the credit card companies will see that you're using the card the way it's supposed to be used. And as a result, like CJ talked about, you'll get higher limits. Okay, they will propose increased credit card limits, and that's exactly what you want to do. So let's look at some takeaways here, or some things I want to point out. If we look at the entire calendar, there's one thing that was missing, and that was the HELOC, the home equity line of credit. Now, this strategy isn't great for everybody. It may not be ideal for just anybody. I will make the case that if you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing, you can use it. It is for anybody. But if you don't want to work with somebody, you want to do it yourself, just want to work on it by yourself, then I would say, proceed cautiously, go slow, and it's impossible to mess this up. I think it's a foolproof system, but it may be a little bit unclear, uncertain. So definitely reach out and get help. All right. One of the things that was missing is the HELOC. If you look at the calendar, I'm going to give you some really important dates, and this is why I love the velocity banking approach to managing your finances and educating yourself. The 11th day of the month is what I call the set aside day, or it's the bill pay day. That's the day where you take out a chunk of money from your home equity line of credit and you use that to pay all of the credit card bills on that one day. You break it down to one single day versus, your account getting hit every few days, getting dinged every couple of days throughout the month. This day, that day, that day. You do it all in 1 month, 1 day, I'm sorry. My HELOC statement opens on the 11th. All right. And then from the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, all the way through the end of the month, and then to the 31st, and then back to the 1st, and then the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then it's due on the 5th. Okay? That's the due date. And then the statement close date, again, this is what gets reported to the bureaus. That's that draw period, or that reporting period. There is usually 5 to 6 days. So the statement closes on the 10th. So you want to, if you can't pay it down to zero, then you want to pay it down as low as possible, because that's what's going to get reported to the bureaus on that statement close date. So the statement closes date on the 10th. And then on the 11th, it opens back up again and it just repeats round and round again. Another important date is the 22nd, is the mortgage payment date. That's when I make my mortgage payment with the credit card. Sometimes people didn't know you can make a mortgage with your credit card. Yes, you can. I do that with the credit card. I'm going to go back to the calendar and show you exactly how I do that. The 28th is the internet, when I pay the internet. First is the heating, trash. These are utilities. The 13th is the phone bill. 14th is another utility bill, water. 15th is a day without the overlap. I'm going to show you what that looks like. These dates are important to note because what are these? These are numbers that don't change. Okay, there is some fluctuation here and there, but overall, this is what you expect every single month, don't you? You know what the mortgage payment is going to be. You know what the rent payment is going to do. You know what the internet is going to be. You know what the heating bill is going to be. You know what the trash day. You know what the phone bill is going to be. You know what the water. You know what you can anticipate what's happening. This is why it's easy to collapse the time, because you understand what's coming. You already know it. You already see it coming from a mile away. You can see it throughout the whole year. You can plan it out every single month, so you already know what to expect. So let's say you know that all these bills are going to accumulate to be about, let's say, $3,000. If you have a credit card with at least that $3,000 on it, can't you use that one card for all of those bills? I'm gonna say that one more time. Imagine you already know what these bills are going to be for the whole entire year. You already know it. You already know what the mortgage is going to be, the rent. You already know what the internet payment is going to be. You already know what the heating, the trash. Give or take a couple of dollars. You already know what the phone bill is going to be. You're already locked into a contract. You already know what these bills are going to be. You know your subscriptions. You know what everything's. If that if you have a credit card balance with that can absorb that entire amount, can't you use that one credit card just for everything and just pay it just on that one day? Can't you do that? That's exactly what velocity banking does. So let's have a look. The 15th is the day. If you look at all the calendar days, it's the one day where this is why I use the gold card 95% of the time, because the gold card is the one day that can be used, under any, based upon the bill due dates, the specific bill and its due date, and based upon the relative dates of all the other cards. It's the one card that can be used for everything, the gold card. So if it's the only card where there's nothing else happening, all the other dates, there's at least two or more cards that can be used. But I only use the Discover card for mortgage. So the same amount of money gets charged on the card every single month. Every single month, it doesn't change. I already know what the card is going to be. Give or take, the Ring doorbell, video doorbell throws in their charge. That's it. But otherwise, 11 months out of the year, I know exactly what's going to be. The venture card, I don't use the venture card for everyday spending. Not at all. I use the venture card because of the limit and because of what Capital One offers for the balance transfers and the 0% offers and rewards. I use the venture card to pay down any debt. So, for example, right now I'm using it to pay off my auto loan. If you watched the last video, I transferred the entire balance into the 0% interest for 12 months on the venture card. So I'm not making any charges on the venture card until another 12 or 11 or 10 months, whenever you're watching this. And I'm paying down the entire balance on the venture card. And and then we also know that the 11th is the HELOC transfer day. I'm going to show you that in a second. The 11th is when every month you take a transfer from the HELOC, and that transfer is going to be enough to cover all four cards, whatever was charged on those four cards. On one day. This is what's called the bill pay day. All right, that set aside day. You take, let's say for example it was $10,000. You take off $10,000 from the HELOC, and that 10,000 will cover the expenses on the venture card, the Capital One, the American Express, the Platinum, American Express, the Gold, and then the Discover. 10,000 will cover all. So that way, by the time the due date comes, um, from the 11th, from the 12th, the 13th, 14th, and then on the 15th, whatever you took on the 11th will cover what was on the 15th. Whatever you take on the 11th will cover what was on the 21st, because that was the due date. Whatever you took on the 11th will cover from 21st, 22nd, 28th, 28th, 30th, and then back around again will cover what was on, or actually I skipped the 15th. We take on the 11th on the 15th. Discover, you take whatever you draw from the 11th, you take that and cover what was on the 25th. I'm sorry, the 21st for the American Express. Whatever you draw from the 11th on that bill pay day, you pay what was going to be due on the 10th to pay down the balance on the venture card, and then to pay down what else was that you charged on the platinum card. So once the 11th, um, because that's the date for the HELOC. On the 13th is when, and this is the first time I referenced this from the very beginning, is the lending pool. The lending pool is your swipe account, or your wash account. That's basically the staging area for your money. That's why the tool I used was the 4 credit cards, the one HELOC, and the one bank account. The one bank account is where you keep your money staged. You don't keep it there to invest or keep it there to save. All that money goes into your HELOC. Your HELOC is your bank account, is your traditional bank account, right? All the money, all the deposits goes into or it gets parked into the HELOC. On the 13th, that money that was staged in your lending pool becomes a deposit into the HELOC. So the HELOC gets drawn on the 11th, and then the money that was staged or in the lending pool, that gets put or deposited back into the HELOC. So the HELOC balance goes back down to zero, or I keep it at $1, but you want to keep it down as low as possible so you're not being charged an average daily balance on the HELOC. All right. So I know it was a lot of information. I might even try to refine this video to make it a little bit more simpler. But for people who do velocity banking, people who follow some of the credit line banking strategies, this will make sense. I'm already confident that it will. I'm just showing you how I do it, and hopefully this helps you and give you a better idea in a sense of how to structure your monthly calendar. But if that didn't make sense, and you would like to learn a little bit more about how to set up your own calendar, I am offering complimentary personal financial strategies to help you get your finances organized and get it working for you. I am licensed by the state of California and Department of Insurance to talk about some financial products. So I'm not just any old body who's on YouTube talking about any old thing, because I know that's how a lot of it is. But we'll go over in that strategy session, we'll go over some key strategies that can help you manage your money, make it more simpler, and definitely make it more effective, make you quicker, make you faster without having to think and then sit and then ponder and then take forever to take action. That personal financial strategy session, no pressure at all. It's just a chance to see how you can take control and set yourself up for success so that you can get ahead. Right now, in this day and age, this is the last place, last time era you want to be in struggling and disorganized. You want to be confident and you want to be certain when you move forward. I'm here to help you. Hopefully this did help you. If it didn't, play it again. Study the due dates, the statement close dates, the statement open dates, and hopefully you can take some of the steps that I did over the years that I've been doing this and then use it for yourself. If not, leave a comment below, hit the like button, and let me know that if this is some of the material that you'd like to see. I'll share a couple more videos. That's basically it. I mean, it's not a lot with the velocity banking strategies. To me, this is like one of the cores principles when it comes to the velocity banking, which are the due dates. when to make the transfers, when to make the withdrawals, when to make the payments. As far as the tools you use, entirely up to you. The HELOC, the credit cards, the bank accounts, all that stuff is optional. I'll leave a link below to CJ's video where you can watch some of his material. Thank you, and have a great day.